we've been hearing in the news, an experienced West Midlands police detective claims that cuts to the police service are already affecting the force's performance and leading to an increase in crime. West Midlands Police deny this and say that overall crime has fallen recently, but a survey of West Midlands Police has uncovered opposition to recent changes and low morale amongst workers. And it comes as the police are reducing staff by around 2,000 and have to make savings of 126 million over the next 4 years. Andrew, it's the name we're using for this officer who wants to remain anonymous. He's an experienced officer. He's asked us to protect his identity. This is his stark appraisal of the police service in the West Midlands.
We haven't got the staff now to be able to investigate matters properly, and there are some people that will feel sadly let down by the police, and that's not because the staff or the police officers aren't trying, but the amount of work that they have means that they can't prioritise everything at the same time. If there is a named offender or an identified line of inquiry, then you will follow that, as opposed to being able to do the old legwork that you could do in the old days to identify offenders and bring them to justice.
Now, we asked him whether he had a message for senior officers at West Midlands Police.
I would ask that our bosses consider actually turning around to the government and saying no to the cuts. The only word is ridiculous. There is no way we can continue to achieve what we're doing at the moment, which is, in effect, bringing people to justice and reassuring the public that the West Midlands Police are effectively dealing with it. And I would ask them to reconsider the cuts to make sure that the police officers are there in the critical roles to make sure that we're fulfilling what the public expect of us, and that is to bring people to justice who do wrong.
Well, listening to that and joining us on the show is the Deputy Chief Constable, Dave Thompson. Dave, thanks for being with us this morning. Appreciate your time. What he's asking for there is not really an option, is it? I don't think.
Well, West Midlands Police budget set. It's a combination of what we get centrally from government, and it's also what local taxpayers pay through the precept, and that is the local element is set by a police authority, the national element is set by government, and it is the national element where the cuts are. And clearly, we don't have an option to say to the government, don't do that. That is a decision that's been arrived at. We have to get on with policing and protecting the public.
From what he's saying, I don't know if you can shuffle up to the mic a bit, Dave, as well. You're a bit quiet this morning. From what he's saying, do you recognise any of the things he's saying, whether it be the low morale, the fact that, the policing has had to change because you haven't got the amount of people that you had previously? Do you recognise any of that at all, or not?
Well, I mean, there's a context going on around policing at the moment. What I do recognise is a really uncertain time for staff, and it's uncertain for a number of levels. Nationally, we've got the Windsor and Hutton reviews that are looking at officer and staff's pay and pensions. And we've also got budget cuts that are requiring us to work really differently, which is unsettling for people. So that's precisely the reason why we did the staff survey that we're reporting this morning, because we recognise a really challenging time. We want to understand what we can do to help our staff work really well. I guess what I would say, though, is I don't recognise the description of us not performing and doing a great job for the public. I think, actually, we're having to work harder. But do you know what? Actually, crime is down. We've dealt with some major things. In fact, even in this month, we've got robbery levels in the West Midlands the lowest they've been for a decade.
And I think that's the interesting thing, isn't it? I would certainly agree, anecdotally, from what we hear, that the public's perception of police has possibly never been higher. But when you've got a third of people who were surveyed internally in the West Midlands Police saying that only a third are saying it's a good place to work, that's got to worry you as a senior manager, hasn't it?
Well, I mean, that's why we've done the survey. We want people to feel really happy at work. And actually what's really interesting in the survey is when you ask people how satisfied they are with the job, that's a very high rating. Do they get a sense of personal achievement? That's a very high rating in the survey. Do they feel confident, skilled, and do they feel a big responsibility to improve service to the public? That's all really high. I think when you look at what drives that answer, frankly, it's a lot of uncertainty behind that answer and in the responses we have of staff around what will they get paid next year with the changes that are coming from Windsor, what will it mean for what they've got to pay for pensions around Hutton, and, for our police staff, some of them, frankly, are facing losing their jobs as well. So, it's a pretty challenging time for the service, but, by the same token, I think our people are working really hard for the public.
You've reached the point then, from what you're saying, I would guess, that now any changes that have to come, and it's a similar kind of thing within the BBC at the moment. There's been so much talk about what changes are possibly going to happen. There comes a point where you just say, for goodness sake, can we just get on with these changes, start the future right here, and move forward as quickly as possible, because that's for the best of everybody. When's that going to happen? Are you going to reach that point anytime soon?
I think we've done quite a lot of changes as an organisation, and we've communicated those. And I think one of the things in the surveys, we need to communicate more and more about what is happening and when. I think we're going through a process where early next year we will definitely be in a position to give a full picture to the public as to how the service will change, and we're committed to doing that. I think our frustration is that we're doing quite a lot of, change that's improving things. We're absolutely committed, we'll protect the public. I'm very certain we'll improve the quality of service people get. And yet, this element of police cuts has become the biggest biggest national issue around cuts. It's actually very difficult sometimes to get that story out about the work we're doing, but I do think the public recognise it.